frequency voltage control. And in here is where you would set your things like multiplier and your front side bus settings as well. Now I have it set to 138 megahertz, and this is of course the memory speeds. And you can see here as well that there's a neat little feature here that says next boot AGP PCI is 66/33 DRMA in 386 megahertz. Now what this means is that the setting I set here is exactly what it's going to be in the memory. However, if you, for instance, want the memory to have a higher megahertz, what you can do here is select a memory timing here, front side bus times 4/3. And when you select this feature, you can see here what happens to the memory is the memory right now is at 184. Now, I'm not quite sure that a lot of memory, the SDR memory, will actually run at this megahertz. Some will, some will not. Most, of course, will not. It's a very, very high setting. You can see here, if I lower the front side bus speed, let's say I lower that to 100. You can see here right now that the speed of the memory is at 133. Again, using this formula, front side bus times 4 divided by 3. And of course, further down here you have the voltage, the CPU voltage setting. You can set it to a maximum of 1.85 volts. And of course, here as well you have your VDIM voltage. You can adjust that as well. And you can adjust that to a maximum of 3.7 volts. Let's go on now and have a look at some SciSoft Sandra results on this particular motherboard. I find this program very handy. It's WCPU-ID. It's basically a CPU status program. It shows you things like the processor you're using, in this case the Pentium 4, the platform, and in this case the socket 478. And of course it shows you more information here as well on the CPU. And you'll notice here as well that I have this one overclocked to 1.8 gigahertz, as you can see here. This of course is a 1.6 gigahertz CPU, and I now have it at 1.8 gigahertz. This is using the retail heatsink as well as no extra cooling. So quite a good result certainly from this motherboard. Now let's take a look at some of the SciSoftware Sandra results. I'm using the Sandra Professional version, the latest version currently available, and I'll go ahead and show you some of the results here. I'll do the CPU benchmark here first. This is the CPU benchmark result. As you can see here, it's quite high. This, remember, is the benchmark done at 1.8 gigahertz. Initially started with a 1.6, overclocked it to 1.8. The MIPS on this one is 3549. You compare that to a true Pentium 4, 2 gigahertz, 3688 for the Pentium 2 gigahertz, and it's not a lot higher than the 1.8 gigahertz. So some good results there, certainly from a 1.6 gigahertz CPU. You can look here as well further down. The next one down is the AMD Athlon XP 1800 Plus, 1.53 gigahertz. Of course, the Athlon XP, as most of you know, will always yield much faster results than an Intel Pentium 4. The result on the 1800 is 4240. Let's now do the CPU multimedia benchmark. And again, some great results from this Pentium 4 1.6 at 1.8 gigahertz. The result is 7166 for this one. If you compare that to a Pentium 4 2 gigahertz, it's 7875. So again, not a lot slower than the Pentium 4 2 gigahertz. And if you look down a little bit further, the next one down is the AMD 1800 Plus at 8370. If we continue here, I'll do a memory benchmark. As you can see here, the result is a little slower than everything else in this category. And that is for the simple fact that this motherboard uses SDRAM. The result is 702 megabytes per second. The next one down is a Pentium 4 using the RD RAM. And of course you can see the result on the RD RAM is much faster at 1374. The next one down is actually an AMD system using DDR memory 2100, and the result on the AMD 2100 DDR memory is 1245. So again, the results of the memory on this motherboard are quite slow, and that of course is due to the SDRAM.
Overall, Epox has done an excellent job on this motherboard. Stability is very high on this overclockability. I have a 1.6 at 1.8 gigahertz. I love the layout and the quality of this motherboard. Something which you could consider a plus as well is the SDRAM. Now, why would this be a plus? Well, if you have, or if you're upgrading and you already have this type of memory, you don't have to go out and buy any other kind of memory. Of course, the negative to the SDRAM with the combination of the Pentium 4 is that you're going to get slow memory results. So again, either that could be a negative or a plus, considering who you are and what you want from the motherboard. Another big plus from this motherboard, it has onboard audio as well. So you don't have to go out and purchase a sound card. If you wish, you can just use the onboard sound on this. So overall, again, a fantastic motherboard Epox has put together. In saying all that, I give this motherboard an 8.5 out of 10. Again, my name is Rodney Reynolds, and this has been another video review. Be sure to check back in a few days. I will have a brand new video review for you then. Also, check out my website at www.3dgameman.com, and while you're there, check out the forums. Until the next time, take care.